Okay, Apple Watch Series 6 first impressions. So there are a lot of things to talk about with this watch, and there will almost definitely be a part 2, and if you'd like to see that, then do consider subscribing. Let's start with the packaging. It's really clean and enjoyable to unwrap. Bonus points because I think most of it would just break down if it spent a month or two in the dirt. Next, I have to acknowledge the way that the strap fits. With my Fitbit, I always struggled somewhat with feeling that it was either too loose or too tight. The way the strap is designed, it's really easy to make fine adjustments. Now, obviously, I'm only testing the leather strap, but given the similar designs for most of Apple's straps, I'd have to say that I imagine this is true of most of their straps. One thing I actually dislike about the strap that I chose is that I think it's made of the same leather as my phone case. This would actually be really cool and, dare I say, stylish. However, the unfortunate reality is that the leather used in this case is actually quite soft, so I'm afraid that if it's like my phone case, then it won't be able to take much of a beating. Next, let's talk about the display. I really like that it's always on, but here's the thing. I have really mixed feelings about this because although it makes the 6 feel more like an analog or an e-paper watch, I feel like it comes at the expense of battery. I guess what I'm saying is that it is beyond shocking to me that given the choice between adding battery life to their watch and adding an always-on screen, they chose the always-on screen in spite of the fact that the 6's battery is really the only thing about it which isn't as good as other watches. And while we're talking about battery, let's talk about charging. Let me start by saying that every single other smartwatch that I've owned could go almost a week without charging. The Apple Watch is nice, but it's the first watch that I've had to charge every single day. What I've realized, however, is that if I charge it after my workout, about 45 minutes before I go to bed, a time at which I'm showering and I don't really use it that much, it's actually able to charge remarkably quickly and almost entirely. So much so that I can wear it all night to track my sleep and then do the whole thing over again the next evening. And while we're talking about charging, I would just like to express my unspeakable anger that Apple had years to plan the release of MagSafe for iPhone as well as MagSafe for the Apple Watch, and somehow, in spite of their thoughtfully and carefully designed ecosystem, Apple couldn't possibly be bothered to design a charger that works for both devices. While we're talking about the bad stuff, I just wanted to note that despite having worn the watch for 4 days, I have no sleep data. To be clear, I've set everything up. My watch is linked to my phone, and I've even set up Apple's bedtime routine. Weirdly though, I just don't have any sleep data. I'll do some digging on this and follow up in my next video. Regardless, let's get back to the good stuff. I'm really enjoying the watch faces. In my Fitbit review, I actually docked them some marks because given their market share, their selection of faces either made by the community or by Fitbit themselves was kind of lacking. Here's the thing though, Apple has chosen a different and somewhat unique route. They do allow anyone with a developer license to make watch apps. However, the actual watch faces for the 6 are made and distributed exclusively by Apple. Speaking as someone who owned a Pebble and loved the weird and wild world of open watch faces, I have to say that I do miss this. The defining difference here, however, is that Apple has done a really good job of creating extremely functional, beautiful faces. I think for the moment my lust for cool watch faces has been sated, and at the moment there are a lot of ways that a person can customize the faces as well. I will dive deeper into this in my next video. Oh, and that brings me to another point. In my Fitbit and my Pebble, changing watch faces was kind of laborious. Typically, it involves getting out your phone and either choosing and loading a new face or going to a sub-menu and picking it on your watch. I'm really happy to say that Apple has found the best way to do this, in my opinion. Basically, you can just swipe back and forth and use your preferred face. There's actually an added bonus to this as well. By allowing people to swap faces so easily, you also give them access to the functionalities of each face. This is a surprisingly well thought out blend of form and function, and it makes me really happy. Oh, also, I imagine this has been around for a while, but given that this is my first Apple Watch, I'm just going to say that the remote feature for iPhone's camera is really useful, from, taking a family photo to checking out the sunburn on the back of your neck. Now, regarding fitness tracking, I think I'd say we're about on par with Fitbit. Truth be told, both watches boast automatic workout tracking, and both do a pretty terrible job of it. I went on a 2.5-hour walk with my Apple Watch, and about 10 minutes from the end of the walk, my watch was like, "Oh hey, are you going for a walk? You want to track that?" Additionally, I went for a really awesome bike ride tonight, and although my watch appeared to know that my heart rate was elevated, it didn't clue into the fact that I was cycling. Having said that, also, much like Fitbits, it's quite easy to just tap the exercise and choose whatever exercise you're doing. Auto tracking be damned. It felt as though Apple talked a lot about the blood oxygen sensor in this watch, and while it's really nice to have it, I feel like it's just not a useful enough feature to get people to buy the 6 instead of the 5. Oh, last thing, I really like the way that Apple Watch works with my Mac. I know I talk a lot about Apple's ecosystem, but despite the fact that my Mac does not have a fingerprint sensor, when I sit down and open my Mac, my watch recognizes this and will just unlock it for me as opposed to making me type in a password or use my fingerprint. That's really nice. And again, it's just kind of the magic of the ecosystem. Okay, that's it. I will again follow up with another video because there are a bunch of other things I would like to talk about. Those are my first impressions. Hopefully this video was useful to you. And if it was, leave a like if you liked it, if you like. And as always, I'll be right back.